The text was sent. There was no taking it back now. Malaika stared at her phone, wedding dress rustling around her feet, heart hammering so hard she thought her ribs might crack. "If you still want me, come get me." 7 words sent to John Sion, the man she'd left behind in Seoul, the man her family had threatened her over, the man who'd let her walk away without explanation 6 weeks ago. Downstairs, 300 wedding guests were arriving. Her mother was singing praise songs in the kitchen. Kofi, her almost husband, was probably adjusting his tie and practicing his vows. And she'd just texted another man to come rescue her. Her phone buzzed. She almost dropped it. His reply was loading. This was it. Either he'd come and she'd run, and her family would never forgive her, or he wouldn't. And she'd have to delete the message and marry someone else, while knowing she'd been brave enough to ask, but not wanted enough to be chosen. The dots appeared. He was typing. The wedding dress felt like a cage. Malaika sat on the edge of her childhood bed, white silk pooling around her feet, phone trembling in her hands. Downstairs, 300 guests were arriving, the same guests who'd watched her grow up, who'd nodded approvingly when her parents announced the engagement, who'd told her how lucky she was to marry Kofi Mensah Oduya. Lucky. Her fingers hovered over the screen. 10 digits typed out. A message that would destroy everything her family had built in the past 6 weeks. A message that would confirm every whispered worry, every concerned phone call, every prayer her mother had sent up. "If you still want me, come get me." 40 seconds of staring at those 7 words. 40 seconds of her entire future hanging in the balance. She pressed send. The phone hit the bed face down. She couldn't look, couldn't breathe, couldn't think about what she'd just done. 18 months earlier, none of this had seemed possible. The coffee had been scalding hot. Malaika felt it soak through her cream blouse before she registered what happened. The cup, her cup, the one she'd been carrying while texting and walking, was now empty, and its entire contents were spreading across her chest and the chest of the man she'd just walked directly into. "Oh my God, I'm so sorry. I wasn't looking. She grabbed napkins from her bag, dabbing uselessly at his shirt. He stood completely still. That was the first strange thing. Most people jerked back, or yelped, or at least flinched. He just stood there, looking down at the growing stain with what could only be described as mild interest. "Please, I'll pay for dry cleaning. I'm so sorry." Malaika kept babbling, kept dabbing, aware she was probably making it worse. "You're Kenyan." She stopped. Looked up. That was the second strange thing. Most people led with anger or annoyance. He'd led with observation. Yes. How did you? Your accent. The way you apologize. Nairobi." "Yes, but how?" "I pay attention," he said simply. Then, with the smallest hint of a smile, "The coffee wasn't that hot. You can stop trying to remove my skin." She yanked her hands back, suddenly aware she'd been scrubbing at a stranger's chest for 30 seconds. "I really am sorry." "Don't be. I needed to change this shirt anyway." "That's kind of you to say." "I don't say kind things. I say true things. I hate this shirt. My secretary bought it. Too much starch." Malaika blinked, then, despite herself, laughed. "So I did you a favor?" "Arguably." "Then you're welcome." "You're welcome for letting you do me a favor, yes." The conversation was absurd. She was standing in the middle of a Seoul sidewalk, coffee dripping from her fingers, talking to a man whose face was so carefully blank it almost seemed intentional. And somehow, they were both almost smiling. "I'm Malaika." "Sion." "Nice to meet you, Sion. Sorry about your shirt you hated anyway." "Nice to meet you, Malaika. Sorry about your coffee." He bowed slightly, Korean style, and walked away. She watched him go, noticed he didn't rush despite the wet shirt, noticed people seemed to step aside for him without him asking. Strange man, she thought. She didn't think about him again until 3 days later, when he walked into the cafe where she worked. Not the cafe. Her cafe. The tiny Itaewon place where she spent Tuesday and Thursday mornings doing freelance consulting work, where the owner knew her order, where she had a favorite corner table. He walked in, looked around once, and walked directly to her table. "You're in my spot," he said. Malaika looked up from her laptop. "I'm sorry?" "This table. It's the only one with an outlet that doesn't flicker and a chair that doesn't wobble. You're in my spot. I've sat here every Tuesday for 8 months. I've sat here every Tuesday for 3 years." They stared at each other. "How is that possible?" she asked. "What time do you usually arrive?" 9:30. "I arrive at 9. So you've never seen me?" "Correct. And I've never seen you." "Also correct." Another pause. "We could share," he offered. "The table?" "It seats 4. We're 2. Math suggests this is possible." That almost smile again. Malaika realized he was funny in the driest way possible. "Okay, you can have your spot back." "I said share, not surrender." She closed her laptop. "Sion, right? From the coffee incident?" "Malaika, from the coffee assault." "I said sorry. I said I hated the shirt. So we're even." "Arguably." He sat down across from her, pulled out a tablet, and started working. Just like that. No more conversation, no explanation for how he'd found her or why he'd come to this specific cafe after their random sidewalk collision. 10 minutes of silence. Then, without looking up, "What kind of consulting?" "Digital marketing, small businesses mostly. You?" "Hotels." "You consult for hotels?" "I own them." She glanced at him. His clothes were nice, but not flashy. Watch was simple. No visible logos or signals of wealth. "How many hotels?" "Enough." "That's not a number." "No, it's not." Frustrating man, she thought. But she smiled anyway. That was the first Tuesday. Then there was the second. He was there at 9. She arrived at 9:30. He nodded when she sat down. They worked in silence for 2 hours. When she packed up to leave, he said, "Same time next week?" "I'm usually here anyway." "Good." Fourth Tuesday, he brought her coffee. The exact order she always got. She hadn't told him what it was. "You asked the owner," she accused. "I pay attention, I told you." "That's borderline creepy." "Would you prefer I hadn't?" She took the coffee. Perfect temperature. "No, thank you." "You're welcome." Sixth Tuesday, she brought him something. A small package wrapped in brown paper. He looked at it suspiciously. "What is this?" "Open it." Inside was a shirt. Simple, white, cotton. No starch. "For the one I murdered," she explained. He held it up, checked the size. Perfect fit. "You guessed?" "I pay attention too." That was the first time she saw him actually smile. Not the half smile, the almost smile. A real one. It changed his entire face. "Dinner," he said. "What?" "Have dinner with me. Tonight." "Is this because of the shirt?" "No. This is because I've been trying to figure out how to ask for 6 weeks, and the shirt gave me an excuse." Honest. Painfully. Strangely honest. "Okay. Okay?" "Yes. Dinner. Tonight." He nodded once, like something had been settled. "I'll pick you up at 7. Text me your address." "You haven't given me your number." He rattled off 10 digits. She scrambled to enter them into her phone. "Wait, how did you know I'd say yes?" she called as he stood to leave. "I didn't." "But I was hoping you'd appreciate clear intentions. You're very weird. You know that?" "Yes." "Is that a problem?" "Not yet." "Good." "Hey," quick pause. "If you're already hooked by Malaika and this mysterious hotel owner who tracks her coffee order, you're going to want to stick around for what happens next. Things are about to get complicated in the best way. Hit that subscribe button so you don't miss a single moment of this romance, because trust me, it gets intense." Dinner turned into breakfast. Not in the way that sounds. Dinner was at a quiet Korean restaurant in Hanam-dong, where the owner greeted Sion by name and didn't give them menus. Food just appeared. Course after course of things Malaika had never tried, each one better than the last. "Do you always order without asking?" she'd teased. I called ahead. Told them to prepare whatever was best today. "Do you trust me?" I don't know you well enough to answer that. Fair. Do you trust the food so far? Yes. Then trust me for 3 more courses, and we'll revisit the question. They talked for 4 hours. She told him about Nairobi, about her family, about how she'd come to Seoul for a 1-year contract and kept extending it because the city felt like a place where she could breathe. He told her about growing up in Seoul, about taking over his family's business young, about how he liked the city at night when most people were sleeping. Why hotels? She'd asked. They're temporary homes. People come, people leave. No one stays long enough to complicate things. Sounds lonely. It is, but it's clear. And you like clear things. I do. Most of the time. What about the rest of the time? He'd looked at her then, really looked. The rest of the time I meet women who throw coffee on me and steal my favorite table. She'd laughed. He'd smiled. The check never came because apparently he owned part of this restaurant too. Breakfast happened 2 weeks later. She'd mentioned loving this tiny place in Itaewon that did Kenyan-style chai and mandatsi. The next morning, Thursday, not even their usual Tuesday, he'd texted. I'm outside your building. Bring your appetite. How do you know where I live? You texted me your address. For dinner pickup, remember? That was 2 weeks ago. I have good memory. Again, borderline creepy. Again, would you prefer I hadn't? She'd come downstairs in sweatpants and a hoodie, no makeup, hair tied up. Most men would have looked disappointed. He just handed her a coffee and opened the car door. The driver took them to the chai place. They sat outside, drinking from paper cups, watching the neighborhood wake up. This is nice, he'd said. The chai? This. No plan. No schedule. Just sitting. Do you not do this often? Never. Why not? My life doesn't usually allow for spontaneous breakfast. What changed? You did. Simple as that. You did. Like she'd rearranged his entire world by existing in it. 3 months in, he brought her white orchids. What are these for? She'd asked, taking the single stem. You mentioned you liked them. Last week, when we walked past that flower shop. I said 1 sentence. You said they reminded you of your grandmother's garden, that she grew them in recycled paint cans, that the white ones were your favorite because they bloomed even when everything else was dry. Malaika had stared at him. You remember that? I remember everything you tell me. Why? Because when you talk about home, your voice changes, gets softer. I like it. That was the moment. The exact moment she knew she was falling. 6 months in, her friends met him. The expat crew, her chosen family in Seoul. Marie from France, Jin from Australia, Amara from Nigeria. They'd been protective, skeptical, demanding to meet this mysterious man who'd consumed all of Malaika's free time. Dinner at a Pojang Matcha, the plastic tents with grilled meat and soju. Casual, loud, chaotic. The opposite of Sion's usual environment. He'd shown up anyway. Sat on a plastic stool, ate grilled pork belly, answered their interrogation with patient honesty. So what do you do? Amara had asked, direct as always. I run my family's business, hotels primarily, some real estate, other investments. Sounds fancy. It's work. Do you treat her well? Marie, protective. I try to. She should answer that, not me. All eyes turned to Malaika. He brings me flowers for no reason and remembers everything I say. You tell me. Jin had grinned. Keep her. But Sion never invited her into his world. She noticed. Didn't say anything, but noticed. Business calls he took in other rooms, meetings he never mentioned, friends, if he had them, that she never met. He'd opened a door into her life, walked right through. But his door stayed closed. 8 months in, the mask slipped. They were at dinner, nice place in Gangnam. Malaika was telling a story about a disastrous client meeting when she noticed Sion had gone completely still. Not relaxed still. Alert still. She followed his gaze. A man had entered the restaurant, middle-aged, expensive clothes, flanked by 2 younger men. The man saw Sion. His face went pale. He turned and left. Just walked right back out. His companions scrambled after him. "What was that?" Malaika asked quietly. "Nothing. Sion. Someone who owed me something. He paid. It's handled. He looked terrified of you." "Yes. Why?" Sion set down his chopsticks, looked at her directly. "What do you think I'd do, Malaika? You said hotels. I do own hotels. I also own logistics companies, shipping, real estate, nightclubs, restaurants, construction firms. I control shipping routes and supply chains and things that don't appear on any official paperwork." Her stomach tightened. "What kind of things?" "The kind that make men like him scared. The kind that keep Seoul running smoothly. The kind that exist in spaces between legal and necessary." "Are you telling me you're—" "I'm telling you my family's name carries weight. That weight is built on decades of business that doesn't always operate in boardrooms. I'm telling you the truth because you deserve to know what you're part of." She should have been scared. Maybe she was. But mostly she felt sad that he'd carried this alone, that he'd waited 8 months to trust her with it. "Thank you for telling me. You're not running? Should I be?" "Some people would. I'm not some people." He'd reached across the table, taken her hand. First time he'd ever done that in public. "No, you're really not." They didn't talk about it again for 3 weeks, but something had shifted. He was still careful, still private, but less separate. Small things. He mentioned a meeting, named a business partner, let her see more of the shape of his life. Then her phone rang on a Tuesday morning, and everything ended. She was at the cafe, their cafe, working across from Sion like usual. Her phone lit up, Mom calling. "I should take this," she'd said, stepping outside. "Hello, Mama." "Malaika, we need to talk." Her mother's voice was wrong, too controlled. The voice she used when she was very, very upset, but couldn't show it yet. "What's wrong? Is everyone okay?" "Everyone is fine, but you need to come home." "I was planning to visit in 3 months, I told you." "Not visit. Come home. The family has been patient. It's time." Malaika's blood went cold. Time for what? Kofi has waited 2 years. His family has been understanding, but this has gone on long enough. Kofi Mensa Oduya, the boy, now man from the family friends, Ghanaian father, Kenyan mother. Same schools, same social circles, same expectations. "Mama, we talked about this. I'm not marrying Kofi." "You promised you'd consider it." "I considered it. The answer is no." "Malaika Wanjiku, you will not disrespect this family." Her uncle's voice now, in the background. Then her father's. The phone was being passed around. A family tribunal over speaker. "You've had your time in Seoul," her father said, his diplomat voice on. "You've explored. You've worked. But you have responsibilities here. I'm 29 years old, Baba. I'm not a child." "Then stop acting like one. Kofi is a good man, educated, stable, from a good family. What more do you want?" "To choose for myself." "You are choosing. You're choosing to embarrass us. Do you know what people say? That we can't manage our own daughter?" Malaika closed her eyes. "I'm sorry if I've embarrassed you, but I'm not coming home to marry someone I don't love." Silence. Then her mother's voice again, but different now. Harder. "We know about Jeonseon. Everything stopped." "What? Did you think we wouldn't find out? Did you think we wouldn't do research when our daughter stays in a foreign country year after year? Mama, we know who he is, what his family does, what it would mean for our family, for your father's career, to be connected to that. His business is legitimate. Don't insult my intelligence. I know what legitimate means and what it pretends to mean. You will not tie this family to that world." "I love him." She said it without planning to, said it out loud for the first time. Her mother's voice cracked. "Then I'm sorry, but love is not enough. You have 2 weeks. Come home, or we will come there." The line went dead. Malaika stood on the sidewalk, phone in her shaking hand, whole world tilting. Through the cafe window, she could see Sion, still working, patient, waiting for her to come back. She couldn't tell him, couldn't drag him into this, couldn't make him choose between her and the consequences her family represented. She knew what she had to do. She just didn't know if she could survive it. The Han River looked gray under the afternoon clouds. Malaika had asked Sion to meet her at the park, the one they'd walked through on their 4th date. Neutral ground, public space. Somewhere she couldn't fall apart completely. He arrived exactly on time, hands in his coat pockets, expression unreadable as always. But she'd learned to see past that, could see the tiny tension around his eyes, the way he stood just slightly too still. He knew something was wrong. "Thanks for coming," she said. "You sounded strange on the phone." "Can we walk?" They walked. 5 minutes of silence except for the wind and distant traffic. She kept trying to find the words, kept losing them. "I need to go home," she finally said. "To Nairobi? For how long?" "For, I don't know, a while." "Malaika, look at me." She couldn't. If she looked at him, she'd break. "My family needs me. There are things I have to handle. Responsibilities I've been avoiding." "What kind of responsibilities?" "Family things." "That's not an answer." "It's the only one I have." He stopped walking, stood in front of her, close enough that she had to look up. "What did they say to you?" Her breath caught. "What?" "Your family." "What did they say?" "How did you?" "You were fine until that phone call this morning. You stepped outside, came back different. So I'll ask again. What did they say?" The horrible thing was how much she wanted to tell him, wanted to collapse into him and let him handle it. But that was exactly the problem. "They want me to come home, that's all." "You're lying." "Sion, I've never seen you lie before. You're terrible at it. Please don't make this harder." "Harder than what?" "You're not making sense." "I can't do this anymore." The words came out rushed, desperate. "I can't be in Seoul, can't be in this relationship. I need to go home and I need to do it alone." "You don't mean that." "I do. Look at me and say it." She looked, met his eyes, forced the words out. "I don't want to be with you anymore." Something flickered across his face. Pain, maybe, or realization. But his voice stayed level. "If this is what you want, I won't stop you." "Wait. What?" She'd expected him to fight, to push, to use that intensity he carried and demand the truth. Instead, he just stood there, accepting her terrible lie like it was fact. "That's it?" she heard herself ask. "What else is there? You've made your choice. You're letting me go. Would you prefer I didn't?" The echo of their old joke felt like a knife. "I'll have someone help you pack," he continued, voice perfectly controlled. "Handle your apartment lease, whatever you need. Sion, I hope you find what you're looking for in Nairobi." He bowed, formal and distant, the way he'd bowed that first day on the street when he was just a stranger with coffee on his shirt. Then he walked away. Malaika stood by the river, watching him leave, waiting for him to turn around. He didn't. 3 blocks away, she sat on a bench and cried until her ribs hurt. What she didn't know. Sion stood by his car for 20 minutes before his driver finally asked if they were leaving. What she didn't see, his hands shaking as he finally got in. What neither of them knew, they'd both just made a terrible mistake. The Nairobi heat hit her like a wall. Malaika cleared customs, saw her mother waiting. Fatuma Wanjiku looked exactly the same. Elegant, controlled, wearing disappointment like a second skin. "Mama, you look thin." "I'm the same weight I've always been." That was it. No hug, no welcome home. Just and a turn toward the exit. The house was full when they arrived. Aunties, uncles, cousins she barely recognized, all there to witness the prodigal daughter's return. Kofi was in the living room. He'd grown into his face, she noticed. The boy she'd known at 16 was gone. This was a man. Tall, kind eyes, patient smile. Malaika. It's good to see you. You too, Kofi. Awkward. So awkward. Her father rescued them, pulling her into his study. Mzee Omar looked older, more gray in his hair, more lines around his eyes. I'm glad you came to your senses, he said. Did I have a choice? We all have choices. Some are just wiser than others. You mean more convenient for you? I mean safer for this family. Do you have any idea what association with John's organization could do to my career? To our name? He's a businessman. He's a criminal with nice hotels. You don't know him. And you do? After 1 year? You know him better than the intelligence I've gathered from 3 separate sources? That stopped her. You investigated him? Of course I did. I'm a diplomat, Malaika. I investigate. Everyone. And what I found was enough to know that man is dangerous. He never hurt me. Not yet. But men like that don't love. They possess. And when something threatens their possession, people get hurt. I won't let you be collateral damage in someone else's war. She wanted to argue, couldn't find the words. Her father softened slightly. Kofi is a good man. Give him a chance. Real love grows. It doesn't just appear like in movies. I don't love him, Baba. Not yet. But you could learn to. Your mother and our marriage was arranged. Look at us now. Malaika looked at her parents' marriage, saw 30 years of respect and partnership and almost no joy. Saw her mother's careful smiles and her father's long work trips. Saw a life that functioned perfectly and felt absolutely hollow. I'll try, she lied, because what else could she say? The wedding preparations started immediately. Venues, caterers, dress fittings. Her mother moved through it all with military precision. This was what Fatuma knew how to do. Plan perfect events, maintain perfect appearances, create perfect illusions. Kofi appeared for scheduled meetings. Lunch here, coffee there. Each time he was kind, respectful. He asked about her work, her time in Seoul, her plans. He never asked if she wanted this. 4 weeks in, they were alone at a cafe. Her mother's choice. Neutral territory for them to get to know each other. You don't have to pretend with me, Kofi said quietly. Malaika looked up from her untouched cappuccino. What? I know you don't want this. I'm not stupid. Kofi, it's okay. I've made my peace with it. My parents want this alliance. Your parents want you settled. We're both doing our duty. That's a terrible reason to get married. Maybe, but I think we could be happy anyway. We have similar backgrounds, similar values. We make sense on paper. Life isn't paper. No, but it's not all romance either. I can offer you stability, respect, a good life. Maybe that's enough. She studied his face. He meant it. He genuinely convinced himself that enough was acceptable. What if I can't love you? She asked. Then you can't. But maybe you'll come to care for me. Maybe that will be sufficient. You deserve better than sufficient. So do you. But here we are. He wasn't wrong, but God, he wasn't right either. 6 weeks in, everything changed. Malaika was at a charity event, the kind her mother insisted she attend to, reintegrate into society. Boring speeches, expensive dresses, the same people saying the same things. Then she saw David Kimani. David had worked in Seoul, tech industry. They'd met a few times through mutual friends. He rushed over when he spotted her. Malaika, hey, I heard you were back. How's Seoul? I'm not in Seoul anymore. I'm here now. Oh, for good? What about that guy you were seeing? The hotel owner? Her stomach clenched. How did you know about him? Marie mentioned it. Said you two were serious. In fact, she said something about how he found out about your family situation before you told him. Really went to bat for you, apparently. Must have been hard for him to let you go. The room tilted. What did you say? About him letting you go? Yeah, Marie said one of his people had flagged the calls from your family. He knew they were pressuring you before you even told him, but he didn't say anything because he wanted you to come to him yourself. Trust thing, I guess. Blood rushing in her ears. He knew. Yeah, that's what Marie said. Why? Did I say something wrong? You look pale. He knew. Sion had known about her family's threats before she broke up with him. Had known and said nothing. Had let her stand by the river and lie to his face. Had let her walk away. Why? Two possibilities, each one worse than the other. Either he'd let her go because he agreed with her family, decided she wasn't worth the complications, or he'd let her go to protect her, to give her the choice without his influence, which meant she'd hurt him for nothing. Both options made her want to throw up. She left the event early, ignored her mother's protests, locked herself in her room, and stared at the ceiling. The White Orchid arrived on a Monday. Malaika was in her final dress fitting, her mother and 3 aunties fussing over hem length, when her younger sister Naya appeared at the door. "There's a delivery for you. I'm busy, just sign for it. I think you want to see this." Something in Nia's voice made her look up. The delivery man held a single white orchid in a simple glass vase. No card. No note. Nothing. Her mother frowned. "Who sends 1 flower?" But Malaika knew. Her hands shook as she took it. The orchid was perfect. Pristine white petals, the exact type from her grandmother's garden. "Who's it from?" her mother demanded. "I don't know. Secret admirer, maybe." The lie came easily now. She'd gotten good at lying. That night, she didn't sleep. Just sat by her window, the orchid on her desk, mind racing. He was here. Or he'd sent someone. Either way, the message was clear. "I haven't forgotten. I haven't let go. I'm waiting." 2 weeks before the wedding, Malaika started unraveling. Little things first. Snapping at her mother. Zoning out during meetings with the caterer. Standing at her closet for 20 minutes. Unable to decide what to wear because nothing mattered and everything mattered too much. Naya noticed. "You want to talk about it?" her sister asked, sitting on her bed one night. "About what?" "About whoever sent that flower. About why you cry in the shower. About why you look at Kofi like he's a very nice prison guard." Malaika laughed. It came out broken. "That bad?" "Worse. Mama pretends not to see it. Baba's convinced you'll adjust. But I see it. You're dying here. I'm being dramatic. No, you're being dutiful. There's a difference. I made a promise. To marry someone you don't love. To do what's best for the family. What about what's best for you?" That was the question, wasn't it? Malaika told her sister everything. Seoul, Sieon, the phone call, the breakup, finding out he knew. All of it spilled out in a rush of words and tears. Naya listened, didn't interrupt. When Malaika finished, she asked one question. "Do you love him?" "Yes." "Does he love you?" "I think so. Maybe. I don't know anymore." "Then why are you here?" "Because love isn't enough. Because his world is dangerous. Because our family's reputation matters. Because I can't be the reason Baba's career ends. Because. Those are all someone else's reasons. They're real reasons. Sure. But are they your reasons?" Malaika didn't have an answer. The wedding rehearsal was perfect. Every step choreographed. Every word scripted. Malaika walked through it like a programmed robot. Smile here, turn there, say this, do that. Kofi stood at the altar practicing his vows. They were beautiful. Well written. Completely empty. After, he asked to speak with her alone. They walked in her mother's garden, the same garden where they'd played as children, back when marriage was just a word adults used, before it became a cage with both their names on it. "I know you don't love me yet," Kofi said, "but I think you could, if you let yourself." It was the kindest thing he'd said. Also, the saddest. "Kofi, I'm not asking you to lie. I'm just asking you to try. Can you do that?" She looked at this good, patient man who deserved someone who lit up when he walked in the room. Someone who chose him first, not as a consolation prize. "I want to," she said honestly. "I really do. But I don't think I can." He nodded slowly. The orchid was from him, wasn't it? She didn't answer. Didn't need to. "What will you do?" he asked. "What I have to." "And what's that?" "I don't know yet." He took her hand, squeezed gently. "For what it's worth, I hope you figure it out. You're being too nice about this. One of us should be." They walked back in silence. Her mother was waiting, already critiquing the rehearsal. Malaika barely heard her. That night, she stood at her bedroom window, the one with the yellow curtain she'd had since she was 12, looked out at the garden, the street, the life she'd left and returned to. Tomorrow was her wedding day. Tomorrow, she'd put on a white dress and walk down an aisle and promise forever to a man she respected but didn't love. Tomorrow, her family would smile, and her mother would cry happy tears, and everyone would say how beautiful she looked. Tomorrow, she'd be safe, settled, exactly what everyone wanted her to be. Tomorrow. But tonight, she was still herself. Still, Malaika, who'd built a life in Seoul, who'd fallen in love with a strange, intense man who remembered everything she said, who'd chosen herself once, and could maybe, possibly, choose herself again. Her phone was on, the nightstand. She picked it up, opened messages, found his name. 1 year of conversation history, every good morning, every random thought, every, "I'm thinking of you." She scrolled to the top, started a new message, typed 7 words, stared at them. This was it. The actual choice, not the one her family made for her, the one she made for herself. Her finger hovered over send. Outside, the world was quiet. Inside, her heart was screaming. She thought about Sion standing by the river, letting her go because he thought that's what she wanted. She thought about the orchid, about I haven't forgotten. She thought about tomorrow, and the day after, and every day stretching forward into a life that looked perfect and felt empty. She thought about Kofi's kind eyes, and her mother's expectations, and her father's career, and everything she'd be destroying. Then she thought about herself, and pressed send. The reply came at 11:17. Malaika had been staring at her phone for 30 minutes, had put it down twice, picked it back up, convinced herself he wouldn't answer, that it was too late, that she'd burned that bridge and he'd moved on, and the orchid was just closure, not invitation. Then the screen lit up. Not, "I'm coming." Not, "I love you." Not even, "Are you sure?" Just an address. 3rd floor, yellow curtain. I've been watching it since yesterday. Her breath stopped. He was here, in Nairobi. Had been here long enough to know which window was hers, long enough to see the yellow curtain she'd forgotten was visible from the street. He hadn't just gotten her message. He'd been waiting to get it. Malaika looked at her wedding dress hanging on the closet door. White silk, intricate beading. Her mother's dream. In 8 hours, she was supposed to put it on and walk downstairs and become someone's wife. She looked at her phone. 3rd floor, yellow curtain. The choice was so clear it was almost funny. She grabbed her jacket, the soft leather one she'd bought in Seoul, the one that still smelled like that city. Pulled it over her wedding dress because there was no time to change, and honestly, the symbolism was too perfect. Her door opened quietly. The house was dark, everyone sleeping before the big day. She crept downstairs, avoided the creaky step, and slipped out the back entrance. A car was waiting at the end of the street. Black, quiet, engine running. The back door opened as she approached. Sion sat inside, same as always, controlled, careful, watching her like he was afraid she might vanish. "Hi," she said. "Hi. You came? You asked me to. I didn't think you would. I was already here." She climbed in. The door closed. The driver pulled away from her childhood home, her wedding venue, her entire planned future. Neither of them spoke for 3 blocks. Then Malaika started laughing. Couldn't help it. The absurdity of it all. Running away in a wedding dress at 11:30 at night, with a man her family had forbidden. It was ridiculous. It was perfect. What's funny? Sion asked, but he was almost smiling. This. All of this. I'm literally running away from my wedding. Technically, the wedding isn't until tomorrow. Oh, good. Technically, I'm not a complete disaster. You're not a disaster at all. I'm wearing a wedding dress in your car. It's a nice dress. It was supposed to be for someone else. But it's not. She looked at him then. Really looked. He had circles under his eyes. His shirt was wrinkled. He looked like he hadn't slept in days. How long have you been here? She asked. 2 days. And you were just, what? Watching my window. I wanted to be close, in case you needed me. I broke up with you, lied to your face, disappeared for 6 weeks. I know. And you still came? You asked me to. That's not an answer. He turned to face her fully. I knew about the calls, Malaika. I knew your family was pressuring you. I should have told you that I knew. Why didn't you? Because I wanted you to trust me enough to tell me yourself. And when you didn't, when you chose to handle it alone, I thought, maybe that was your answer. Maybe you didn't want me involved in the hard parts. So you just let me go? I let you make your choice. There's a difference. That's the stupidest thing I've ever heard. Probably. I thought you didn't want to fight for me. I thought fighting would mean taking your choice away. They stared at each other. We're both idiots, Malaika said. Agreed. I love you. I know. You're supposed to say it back. I love you. I've loved you since the coffee incident. I'll love you when your family finds out you ran away. I'll love you through whatever comes next. My father is going to lose his mind. I know. My mother might never speak to me again. I know. Kofi didn't deserve this. No, he didn't. But he also didn't deserve a wife who loved someone else. He was right. Didn't make it hurt less. Where are we going? She asked. Airport. I have a plane waiting. Of course you do. Unless you want to stay. Talk to your family. Do this a different way. Do I look like I want to stay? You look like you're running on adrenaline and might regret this in 3 hours. Ask me again in 3 hours then. He smiled. Actually smiled. Okay. Before you find out what happens when her family discovers she's gone, do me a favor. Drop a comment and tell me what you would have done in Malaika's position. Would you have run or stayed? And hit that like button if you're team Sion, because this man just sat outside her house for 2 days, waiting for a text that might never come. That's commitment. The flight was quiet. Private plane, which Malaika should have expected, but still felt surreal. She sat in the leather seat, wedding dress bunched around her, trying to process what she'd just done. Sion had handed her a bag. Your passport, some clothes, your laptop, things I thought you might need. How did you get my passport? I have people. That's criminal. Technically, it's breaking and entering. You're not helping your case. I'm not trying to. She changed in the tiny bathroom, traded the wedding dress for jeans, and a sweater that smelled like her soul apartment. When she came out, Sion had hung the dress carefully in the garment bag. Why are you keeping that? She asked. It's yours. I stole it. You wore it to come back to me. That makes it important. Her heart did something complicated. She sat next to him instead of across from him, close enough that their shoulders touched. He went very still, like he was afraid of breaking the moment. I'm sorry, she said quietly. For what? For lying. For not trusting you with the truth. For thinking you'd let me go because you didn't care enough. I'm sorry for not telling you I knew. For making you feel alone in that decision. We're both terrible at this. Yes. Want to get better at it? Very much. She fell asleep on his shoulder somewhere over the Red Sea, woke up to him very carefully not moving so he wouldn't disturb her. How long was I out? She asked. 4 hours. And you just sat there? You needed sleep. You need sleep too. I'll sleep when we land. Where are we landing? Seoul? Unless you want to go somewhere else. Seoul. Home. The word fit in a way Nairobi hadn't in 6 weeks. "Seoul is good," she said. They landed at dawn. The city was waking up, lights glittering against the sunrise. Sion's driver was waiting. "Welcome back," the driver said in Korean, nodding to Malaika. "Thank you," she replied in the same language. It felt good in her mouth. Familiar. The drive to Hanam-dong was quiet. Seoul traffic building, people rushing to work, the whole city moving like it had every day she'd been gone. Sion's apartment looked exactly the same. Clean, minimal, expensive in the way that didn't announce itself, but also lived in. A book on the coffee table, coffee cup in the sink, small signs of actual life. "Your room is ready," he said. "Same as before." She stopped. "My room?" "I didn't want to assume anything. You can stay in the guest room. Take your time. Figure out what you want." "Sion." "Yes?" "I ran away from my wedding to be with you. I think we're past the guest room stage. I want you to be sure." She crossed to him, took his face in her hands, made him look at her. "I'm sure. I chose this. I chose you. I'm choosing it right now. Are you sure?" "I've been sure since you spilled coffee on me." "Then stop being noble and kiss me." He did. It was soft and careful and tasted like coming home. When they broke apart, he pressed his forehead to hers. "Your family is going to call soon, when they realize you're gone." "I know. It's going to be bad. I know. I can handle it if you want. Run interference." "No, I made this choice. I'll handle the consequences." "Okay. But I'm here. For all of it." "I know." Her phone started ringing at 7:15 a.m. Seoul time, 6:15 p.m. in Nairobi. Right about when people would be arriving at the venue, when someone would go to get the bride and find an empty room. Malaika looked at the screen. Mom calling. She almost didn't answer. But that was the coward's way. She'd been brave enough to run. She needed to be brave enough to face it. "Hello, Mama. Where are you?" "I'm safe." "Where are you?" "I'm in Seoul." Silence. Then her mother's voice shaking. "You didn't." "I did. I'm sorry." "Sorry? Sorry? Do you have any idea what you've done? There are 300 people here. Kofi's family. Our family. Everyone waiting for a wedding that isn't happening because you. I know. I know it's terrible. I know I've embarrassed you. But I couldn't do it, Mama. I couldn't marry him. Because of that criminal? Because I don't love Kofi. Because I do love Sion. Because I get one life and I can't spend it pretending. Her father's voice now, in the background. Then on the phone. "Malaika Wanjiku, if you don't get on a plane right now, I'm not coming back, Baba. Then you are no longer my daughter." The words hit like a fist. "Baba, you've made your choice. Live with it, but don't expect this family to support it." The line went dead. Malaika stood there, phone in her shaking hand, whole body trembling. Sion appeared with a glass of water, guided her to the couch, sat next to her while she cried. "He said I'm not his daughter anymore," she whispered. "He's angry. He might not mean it. He meant it. Then he's wrong, and it's his loss. I've ruined everything." "No, you chose yourself. That's not ruining anything. My family hates me. Some of them might. For now. But some of them will come around. And the ones who don't, that's their choice, not your fault." She leaned into him. He wrapped his arms around her. They sat like that for a long time. 3 days later, Auntie Grace appeared at the cafe. Malaika had been trying to build a routine. Go to the cafe, pretend to work, try not to think about the voicemails from her mother that she couldn't listen to. Then Kofi's mother walked in. Malaika's first instinct was to run. But Grace just sat down across from her, ordered tea, and waited. "I'm sorry," Malaika started. "Don't. I humiliated your family, embarrassed Kofi. I need to apologize." "Kofi doesn't want your apology." "He should. He wants you to be happy. That's what he told everyone. That the wedding was postponed. Because you both needed more time. He took the blame. Protected you, even after you ran. Tears burned Malika's eyes. Why would he do that? Because he's a good man, and good men don't punish people for being honest, even when the honesty hurts. I don't deserve that. No. But you have it anyway. Grace sipped her tea. I'm not here to bring you back. I'm here to tell you what he did. So you know. So you can carry it with you. Why? Because Kofi asked me to. He said you'd torture yourself with guilt, and you should at least have the full story while you do it. Grace left after that. Malika sat in the cafe until closing, crying into cold coffee. That night, she wrote Kofi a letter. Not an apology. He'd said he didn't want that. Just thank you. Thank you for being kind. Thank you for protecting her even when she didn't deserve it. Thank you for being the good man everyone said he was. She never sent it, but she kept it. 2 weeks in Seoul, and Malika realized something. She'd run back to be with Sion, but she hadn't figured out who she was going to be while being with him. She'd been so consumed with the choice, she'd forgotten there was life after the choice. Sion was patient. Too patient. He asked what she needed, where she wanted to go, what she wanted to do, always deferring to her. Finally, she snapped. Stop it! They were having dinner in his apartment. Takeout, because neither of them felt like going out. Stop what? He asked. Treating me like I'm going to break. Asking my permission for everything. Acting like I'm a guest in your life. I'm trying to give you space. I don't need space. I need you to be normal. To tell me when I'm being ridiculous. To have opinions. To stop walking on eggshells. You just left your entire family for me. I'm trying to make that worth it. You don't have to make anything worth it. You just have to be you. He set down his chopsticks. I'm afraid if I'm fully myself, you'll realize what everyone's been trying to tell you. That I'm dangerous. That being with me puts you at risk. That your family was right. Are you dangerous? Sometimes. Does being with you put me at risk? Potentially. Do you think my family was right? No. But I understand why they're scared. She moved around the table, sat next to him instead of across. I'm scared too sometimes. Of your world. Of the things you don't tell me. Of the phone calls you take in other rooms. But I'm more scared of a life without you. So stop protecting me from yourself. Okay. Okay? You're right. I've been treating you like something fragile. You're not. You ran away from a wedding in the middle of the night. You're possibly the bravest person I know. Or the stupidest. Sometimes they're the same thing. She laughed. He smiled. Things felt normal for the first time since she'd gotten on that plane. 1 month in, and her mother called. Not yelling this time. Just, can we talk? Malika was so surprised she almost hung up. Mama? I'm in Seoul. You're what? I'm staying in Mapo. There's a nice apartment. I've been here a week. Why didn't you tell me? Because I needed to decide if I could do this. If I could see you with him and not say terrible things. And can you? I don't know yet, but I want to try. Can we have lunch? They met at a quiet restaurant in Insadong, neutral territory. Fatuma looked smaller somehow, less formidable, more tired. You look well, her mother said. So do you. Lies. They both looked exhausted. I'm trying to understand, Fatuma continued. Your father won't. He's too angry. Your uncle thinks you've lost your mind. But I'm trying. I know this isn't what you wanted from me. No. I wanted you safe. Settled. In a life I understood. I am safe, Mama. Are you? Really? Yes. Her mother looked at her for a long time. You're different here. Lighter, somehow. Like you can breathe fully. I can. Was it that bad at home? It wasn't bad. It just wasn't mine. Fatuma nodded slowly. I've been taking a cooking class. Korean food. I'm terrible at it. The change of subject was so abrupt, Malika almost got whiplash. That's nice. The teacher is very patient. I told her I'm trying to understand my daughter's life. She said food is a good place to start. Something in Malika's chest cracked open. Do you want to meet him? She asked. You're Sian? Yes. I don't know if I'm ready. Okay, that's okay. We can just, this is good. Lunch is good. They ate in careful silence. Not comfortable yet, but not hostile. A beginning. 3 lunches later, Fatuma said, Okay. Okay, what? I'll meet him. I won't promise to be kind, but I'll be civil. That's all I ask. Dinner was at Fatuma's apartment. She'd insisted. Her territory, her rules. Sian brought flowers, white orchids. Malika saw her mother clock the significance, even if she didn't fully understand it. The first hour was painful. Stilted conversation. Long silences. Fatuma asking pointed questions about his business. Sian answering with careful honesty. Then Fatuma asked about his mother. She passed when I was 16, Sian said. I'm sorry. Thank you. She would have liked Malika. She believed people should choose their own paths. Even dangerous ones. She thought the danger was in not choosing at all. Fatuma considered this. What was her name? Minji. Tell me about her. So he did. Stories about his mother, her laugh, her stubbornness, her insistence that he learn to cook because no one should depend entirely on someone else. Fatuma listened, really listened. When they left, she hugged Malika at the door, whispered, He loves you. I can see that. I don't understand his world, but I can see he loves you. He does, Mama. Then I'll keep trying. It wasn't forgiveness, but it was a door cracking open. 2 months in Seoul and everything exploded. The article appeared in a Nairobi gossip site. Nothing major, just small enough to be vicious. Diplomat's daughter shacks up with Korean crime lord. Family in shambles. It is named Sian, named her father. Implied connections that didn't exist and complications that did. Malika saw it when Marie sent the link with, I'm sorry. She showed Sian. This is my uncle. He must have leaked it to punish my father. I'm so sorry. It wasn't your uncle. How do you know? Because I know who did leak it. A business rival. Someone who's been trying to pressure me for months. This is his way of sending a message. The room went cold. Someone used my family to get to you? Yes. How long have you known someone might do this? Since the beginning. And you didn't tell me? I thought I could handle it quietly, keep it from touching you. But it did touch me. It touched my father, his career. I know, I'm sorry. You told me to stop protecting you from yourself, but you're still protecting me from your world. Because my world is ugly, Malika, and I don't want it to stain you. I'm already in it. I chose to be in it. You don't get to decide what I can handle. You're right. So tell me. All of it. Who is this person? What does he want? How do we stop him? Sian told her. The rival. The business disputes. The pressure campaign designed to make Malika too expensive to keep. He thinks if he makes your life hard enough, I'll calculate that you're not worth it. And will you? Never. But he doesn't know that. So what do? I handle it. No. We handle it. Malika, I'm not a damsel. I'm not someone to be protected and hidden away. I'm in this with you. So we handle it together. He looked at her for a long moment, then nodded. Together. They spent 3 days strategizing. Sian's approach was direct. Shut down the rival's operations, make an example. Malaika's was different. He's attacking through reputation and public pressure. So we respond the same way. She drafted a statement, posted it herself. A simple, clear explanation of her choices. No apologies, no justifications. Just truth. I chose to build my life in Seoul with someone I love. That choice is mine. The consequences are mine. And I'm at peace with both. It went viral in ways she didn't expect. other women sharing their own stories, support from unexpected places. Her father's office got calls, but not all of them angry. The rivals' attacks lost their teeth when she refused to be ashamed. Sion watched it happen with something like awe. You just outmaneuvered him without throwing a single punch. I learned from the best. You taught me that power is knowing when not to use it. I taught you that. You let me go when I broke up with you. That was power. Real power. I'm just applying the lesson. He kissed her then, deep and sure and certain. I love you, he said against her mouth. I know. You're supposed to say it back. I love you too, even when you're being overprotective and ridiculous. I'll work on that. Liar. Yes, but you love me anyway. Unfortunately. The rival backed off after that. Not because Sion forced him, because Malika took away his leverage. 6 months in Seoul, and Malika finally felt like herself. She'd started working again. Real projects, real clients. Built a consultancy that was entirely hers. She had friends. The cafe crew, language exchange partners, people who knew her as Malika, not as someone's daughter or someone's girlfriend. She had a life that fit. Sion asked one night carefully, "Do you want to get married?" Eventually. I know you ran from one wedding. I'm not trying to push you into another. Good, because if you proposed right now, I'd throw something at you. Noted. But someday? Someday, yes. When it's a choice I'm running toward, not away from. When it's something we both want, not something everyone expects. I can wait for that. Even if it takes years. Even if it takes decades. I'm very patient. You sat outside my house for 2 days waiting for a text I might never send. Exactly. Very patient. She threw a pillow at him. He caught it, grinning. This was love. Their specific dialect. 8 months in Seoul, and her sister visited. Naya arrived with 2 suitcases and a huge smile. Malika picked her up from the airport, showed her the city, and introduced her to Sion. Naya watched them for 3 days, then pulled Malika aside. You're different here. Different how? More you. Like you finally fit in your own skin. I do. I really do. I'm happy for you. Also a little jealous. Of what? Of your courage. I'm still doing everything Mama and Baba expect. You broke. Free. You can too. Maybe. Someday. For now, I'm just glad you did it. Someone in our family should get to be happy on their own terms. They hugged. Malika felt the weight of being the example, the trailblazer. It was heavy, but she could carry it. 1 year after running away, Malika hung a yellow curtain in their bedroom. Sion noticed immediately, didn't say anything at first, just looked at it, then at her. Like my childhood room, she explained. I saw it in a market and it felt right. It is right. That night, lying in bed, she said, I chose this. I need you to know I choose it every day. I know. I choose it too. Even with my complicated family, and my baggage, and my tendency to overthink everything. Especially because of those things. They're part of you. I chose all of you. I love you. I love you too. Outside, Seoul glittered. The city that had received her, kept her, let her become. Inside, they were just 2 people who'd found each other through coffee and chaos and choice. Not perfect. Never perfect. But theirs. And that was enough. Before we close out, I need to know something. Did this story hit you the way it hit me? Did you feel every moment of Malika's choice? If you did, show some love by subscribing to this channel. Because we're just getting started with stories that make you feel something real. Drop a comment telling me what you thought, and I'll see you in the next one. Thank you for being here.